Welcome back to An Athlete's Journey. I'm your host, Travis Reed, and today I got a special guest, somebody who I've been knowing since, I don't know, about 10 years old, 11 years old, something like that, something ridiculous. Really good dude, I want to say one of those California 97 legends. No, I definitely agree with you on that one, bro. I think, when I went to UCLA, man, it was just like a different animal because it was like, not only are you going there with pros, on the team already, but you coming in with pros. So we came in the number one class in the country, whatever. Obviously, Barron being in the gym, you know,
Right.
and then, out of nowhere, here comes Earl Watson, and we're just like, damn, you know what I'm saying? This nigga was like the 38th rated, 40th rated player in the country. Like, it was like five guards ready to have him. You know what
Right.
I'm saying? And so I'm like, damn, this nigga, he gonna be an NBA dude too.
Right.
So,
Right.
you know what I'm
Right.
saying? So it was a situation. Then obviously the next year, Matt comes in. Matt was an afterthought. People don't realize that year, the next year, was the number one class in the country. It was Jerron Rush was the gym. He was the
Yeah.
top two player or number one. Dan got zero, Jerome Weisel, Ray Young. Matt was like, okay,
Right.
like we bring him in too. And obviously he
Right.
ended up having the longest career and things like that. So I just remember, you know, just like you said, like everybody's all this, everybody's all that. That don't really mean nothing. And you have to, like you said, you start from the bottom of the totem pole to work your way up to the top.
I'll give you an example. Like, say, like the head coach who came, who I played for at San Jose State, right?
Yep.
Just a year before, he was an assistant at Utah State when they went to the NCAA tournament and all that kind of stuff.
Right.
I had 14 as a freshman against Utah State. He knew who I was. It was like when I got to San Jose State, he acted like he didn't know who I was. Like, you know what I'm saying? He's like, yeah, I remember seeing you play. You was a good little player back then. But what you could do now? And you know what we felt like, man, who you talking to? Like, what? You know what I'm saying?
Right, right,
But
right.
that's just a sign or a challenge to step up, you know?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
All right. All right. So you graduate college, right?
Yeah.
What was your journey like after college? Were you trying to go pro? What was your next phase in your career?
I graduate college, really no options, right? No
Mm-hmm.
options.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I end up having a workout for an overseas agent. And he was like, man, I like you. I like you. I got something for you, man. He's like, I'm connected in every different country, right? And nothing came through. So I moved back home, LA. I'm working out every day, you know, kind of going into that little low key. I remember sitting at the dinner table with my family, right? And we eating, and my god pops look at me. He like, "What's wrong?" I was like, "Man, I don't know." He said, "You feel like you're not supposed to be here?" I said, "Yeah, I feel like I'm not supposed to be here." You know what I'm saying? And
Mm-hmm.
like I'm here, you know, and it's like because I've been on the last since I stepped into high school, college, I've been on a go like the last 10 years of my life. You know what I'm saying? Like every day something to do, like an objective, going, trying to get better, like school, class, workouts, traveling, good life, hotels, food, like, you know what I'm saying? Free gear. Like I gotta pay for shoes now. Like, you know what I'm saying? I gotta pay for shoes. Like I hadn't paid for shoes unless it was a pair of Jordans or something, you know what I'm saying?
Right, right,
But
right, right.
and I remember just sitting there and I was like, I got to do something. And I had got my degree, so I was happy for that. You know, I ended up getting my degree. And so that first year out of college, what I did was my family had a real estate office. So I was working out still, and my family had a real estate office. So I went and worked in the real estate office, right? So this is where the transformation in my mind starts to come, right? Is that okay? I may no longer be an athlete no more. What am I going to do now?
Mm-hmm.
Right? I am 22, turning 23 years old. So Here I got a chance basically going there. Now they was paying me probably he was probably paying me $1,500 a month, right? Which back then it wasn't. I'm staying at the house still. I got a little Honda Accord. I got gas money. I can go to the movies. You know what I'm saying? Take a girl to the movies. You know what I'm saying? That's about it. You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying?
no, no. I remember. That's why I got paid my first year overseas.
Yeah, yeah. But I'm working a job though. I don't got no I ain't hooping. You know what I'm saying? So I'm kind of like an office guy, right? And people with the agents, the loan officers and the real estate agents, they need I'm getting lunch, I'm getting coffee, I'm helping people with their files, I'm making copies and all that kind of stuff. So I'm going to work in there part-time and I'm still working out part-time, right? And but
Mm-hmm.
I'm noticing as I'm in there, I'm seeing people doing deals, checks 30,000, 50,000, 60,000. You know what I'm saying? And I'm like, wait a minute, these people are making money. These people are making real money. Like I got boys that's playing pro ball ain't getting checks like this that I'm seeing in this real estate office. And so, man, I'm sitting around, and my mindset has always been, I'm not gonna sit around people too long, and they getting money. I'm not gonna get no money, you know. And I'm like, man, I know pros, you know, I know people. So what I started doing was I would I got my hustle on, man. If anybody was looking for a house or needed a loan or refinance and all that, I was bringing them through the tax office. I mean, not the tax office, through the real estate office, and I started closing deals. So you know that little 1,500 a month. Now I'm getting like little checks for 10,000, 20,000, right? I had 30,000 cash. I thought I was rich, right? But that was kind of like my first piece of taste of like the workforce, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And I had a nice little for 22, 23, you know, if you ain't a NBA dude, you know, if you got 30,000 in your pocket, you know, you feeling good about yourself back then,
Yeah, no,
you
no,
know.
for
And
real, for real, for real.
yeah, and with me continuing to be in shape, the agent from that summer before called me, said, I got a job for you. And he had a job for me in Norway. And
Okay,
I
okay,
end up
okay,
going to Norway that first year
okay,
and
okay.
playing over there.
All right, all right.
Yeah.
So you go to Norway. How did your season end up?
Man, it was a great experience. I played really well over there. Um, it's so crazy because I had here's another introduction, right? So you know those smaller countries, you know, they try to get their money's worth out of you, you know. So I'm probably making, like you said, you 1,500. If you was making 1,500 your first job, I'm probably making 1,700, right? Car, apartment, food allowance. Like we had, like we can go to certain restaurants and eat, you know.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
So, you know, it probably was about a $2,500 a month package, you know what I'm saying? But I was happy. I was playing ball, living for free and making a little bit of money. I still had some savings. And but I was coaching like in a club program, I was coaching like the younger, like the 16-year-olds too.
yeah.
So that was
Okay,
like my
okay,
first little
okay.
taste. I was coaching and you know, kind of bringing like you know as an American basketball player, kind of bringing like a lot of the stuff I did as a young player to their club team, footwork, speed, because you know that's the biggest thing back then over there was footwork and speed over there.
Of
And so
course.
I started coaching like their youth team, like their 16-year-old team, and now I remember, man, it was an experience on once again on being a professional, man.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Once again, it was the expectation of being a professional and all the things that you've done. You know, I watched guys get sent home for the littlest things, and what the
True.
guy told me was this: they sent home our leading scorer, and I said, well, like for that. And he's like, oh, it's no big deal. He was like, man, it's a bunch of you guys over back in America sitting on the couch waiting for opportunity. And I thought about it. I said, damn, how many dudes I know that got mad game that don't have a job?
Yep,
You know what I'm
yep,
saying? So
yep.
it was like, you can't take it for granted. Like if you really want it, you can't take it for granted. And I was saying like, damn, you sent home around. He was like, man, we'll have another guy over here next week in a couple of days. And that's what they did.
Yep.
And it made me think that, like, how many guys do we know who can really play that didn't have a job?
No, I agree 100%, man. And like
Yeah,
that's
so
really how it is. I remember my second year, we was on a team. I was in Holland. Coach sent about 20 dudes home, man, like in one season.
right,
You know, he was sending them home in the clumps. Like two, three comes, two, three come in, two, three go out. Another
right,
two come in, another two go out. You know what I'm saying? Like it was, man, I was like, and they would get sent home for, you know, like, like sometimes you have to work your way into shape,
yeah,
basketball like shape. They will come in some shape, but not shape.
yeah,
So
game
he
shape.
was, yeah, he was in that game shape. And so he was sending them home because of that. You know what I'm saying? When they come in tip top shape, that means they're not committed, or something
Man, I
like
remember
that. I was like,
I seen a guy get sent home. Now, let me tell you, Norway is a beautiful country. The city that we were close to, Oslo, is you talking about baddies, like
right.
all flavors, player, all flavors. And their nightlife is off the chain. So
Right.
they would give us we had these cars and it was wrapped with the team logo.
Yeah,
So
yeah, 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 yeah,
being a
yeah.
pro team, when you drove those cars, everybody knew who
Everybody
you
knew
were.
who you was. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So God, and I didn't drink. And I remember guys like I remember these guys on our team going into a club, right? It's like a lounge type, right? And I remember me and another dude, we kind of like hanging out on the street because it's kind of like if you can imagine like a Miami type, even though it's cold, but like a vibe where it's just bars and restaurants and all that kind of
Yeah,
stuff.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
And
yeah.
I remember a couple of the guys going into the club and they get in the car. It's like the police, as soon as they started their car up and drove a foot, the police pulled them over. Why? Drinking and driving. They know that they just came out this bar and they know they didn't even get to a destination. It wasn't like it was some kind of traffic violation
Right,
or
right, right,
anything
right,
like
right,
that.
right.
They know that they just came out the bar, they had drinks, they got in the car, they started the car up and pulled off. Boop. It was all over the paper the next day. Guys got sent home, and I was like, oh, this thing is serious, man.
Yeah, yeah. If you ain't, even if you is killing, is or ain't, if you embarrass the team, they will send you
Exactly.
home. They will send
Yeah.
you home. They ain't tripping. Like they will, like
Yeah.
you said. And I would be thinking like, because now, or I used to play in adult leagues, and some of these dudes is like 19, 20, 21. I mean, like maybe like 23, 24. They should be hooping overseas or something, but they
Yeah.
playing this adult league. And I'm
Yeah.
like, man, like that's what they be talking about when man, I could go call him off the couch. Come on, you know?
Yeah. Exactly. Exactly.
You know what I'm saying? So,
So I get through that season,
yep.
come back home,
Mm-hmm.
didn't get another job. So what I started doing was I went back to my old school district, right? And this is one thing I always like to tell young players. It's important, very important on how you carry yourself and how respectful you are with people, right? Because people always kind of look back at you and say, okay, he was a good dude, or oh, he was an asshole. You know what I'm saying? So for me, I had a degree. I went back home to Inglewood Unified and I got a job teaching.
Mm-hmm.
I got hired by the district. My former principal at Inglewood High School was now like the assistant superintendent of the whole district. So when I came back, I was like, I need a job. Man, they did everything. They put me in position. I got a job. I got a job like that off the bat. But I still had that basketball bug in me.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So I still was working out. And then I ended up getting a call to go play in the ABA when they had just started the ABA league.
Right, right, right,
And
right,
I
right, right,
went
right.
and played for the Baltimore team. I had moved out. I was living in Baltimore, and I played for their team.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
And
and
how was that?
it was a great experience, man. I got to kind of see what the kind of like the East Coast was about. Met different culture. Baltimore, DC culture was like a whole different experience. Once
Mm-hmm.
again, it wasn't no money. I think we were getting paid. I was getting paid like 2,000 a month, but still loving what it was that I was doing. Um, DC, like we practiced every day right next to Howard University. So I got to, get to see the Howard baddies and all that kind of stuff. And still was kind of hanging out and kind of like still living the life of a ball player. You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying?
yeah, yeah, yeah.
And it was fun. And I had a good time. I had a good year out there. And then after that season, I was so as soon as that season ended, I came back home, still was working out. I had an
Hmm.
opportunity to go get invited on this tour in Mexico, right? To go play in Mexico. But at that same time, the guy who was my assistant when I finished at Xavier University in New Orleans, he was my assistant. He had got the head job there. And he was like, man, I'm thinking about, man, I may get this job. And he was like, he got the job. And then his guy left after 1 year. He was like, man, you still connected to the game. You're a popular guy in LA. You know everybody. He's like, man, if this opened up, would you want it? I was like, man, I don't know. I'm still trying to hoop. And so I'm on this tour, man. We going to town in Mexico. We going to these small towns, bro. And I remember being on this van. It was probably like 12 of us on this van. Dudes, bags, dudes stinking. You know what I'm saying? Dudes from all over the place, dudes fighting. You know what I'm saying? The
They were
coaches
fighting.
trip, they ain't paying us our money on time. You know what I'm saying? And I remember, man, being on in this van with all these dudes, legs, legs stretched out all over the place and all that. Right. And my girl at the time, who's with my wife now, I had a little, remember the little money that I did make when I was from playing over in
Yeah,
Norway. I
yeah,
still had
yeah.
my money from when I was doing the real estate. I have about 40,000. I end up getting me a condo, right?
Hmm.
And she back in LA, and I'm like, damn, do I really want to do this? You know what I'm saying? Like
Hey,
we was on this
yeah.
long road, like it was like the road to nowhere. Like no buildings, no for hours. And
Hmm.
I asked myself, I said, damn, do I really want to do this for what? I mean, what
10
three?
more years, 5, 8, yeah,
Yeah, and
whatever. Yeah,
then when you start off like that, you got to build your money up. You got
yeah,
to build your
yeah.
career up. So I went from 1,700 to 2,000. Okay, what I'm gonna make 3,500 a month now. You know what I'm saying? Do I really want to do this? And so it kind of like put my brain like I wasn't sure if I still wanted to go on that grind and that journey. You
Right,
know,
right, right. Because it is a grind.
yeah, it is a grind. That's what guys don't know. It's like
Yeah.
it's not always presidential treatment,
Oh,
right?
hell no. No,
You
I
know,
remember those buses.
Division One is like I said, division. Like I heard some WNBA players say this. They say, "Well, are you ready to leave the luxury of big time women's college basketball to come to the WNBA because you're gonna be treated totally different." You know what I'm saying? So coming from Division One, where we flying everywhere, we staying in 5-star hotels, we getting meal money, we getting fed all our foods, we getting geared to this type of grind. It ain't for everybody.
No, no, no,
You
it ain't.
know,
No, it ain't. I remember those days where you on the look. That only happened once. Usually, I was pretty blessed. So when I would we would go on bus trips, we had the nice luxury bus or whatever the case is. But in Romania, where they were cheap, they had the whole team on a half a bus and the bags and the coaches. You know what I'm saying? And it'd be long ass bus rides where you just be like, it's a 6 hour bus ride. And you'd be like, God damn, this is, you know?
man, by that time I started tendonitis in my knees, bro. I was like, I'm too high maintenance for
Yeah.
this, bro. I
No, no,
can't.
seriously. You'd be sitting like, you almost had to, like, it was like the rookies had to sit two in a seat. So if you were the
Yeah,
young dudes, they had to sit two. And so,
legs
like,
on each
look,
other,
yeah.
man.
So, like, lucky the Americans, we had some cool ass Romanians where they would sit, a couple of them would sit two in the seat so we can stretch out our legs. But
Right.
imagine trying to ice your legs after a game and your knees is bumping knees. And you just, oh man, this yeah, 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 yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Like this money ain't worth it. Shit.
Exactly. So that's where my mind started going, man. And then when I got back home, I remember sitting up with my girl at the time. I was like, I don't, because she was all supportive. You know what I'm saying? She freshly graduated college. She had a good job with LA Unified School District and everything,
Right, right, right.
and I was just like, I don't know. I don't think I'm gonna try to do this no more. And I had that coaching job, you know, and I was offered that job, and that job at the time, and I just keep it real. For me, that job was paying 45,000 plus benefits.
Mm-hmm.
And for me, the way I looked at it is like I'm still connected to the game.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And it was a real job, right? I had to show up every day, but it was still being a part of something that I love to do,
Of
you
course, of
know.
course, of course, of course.
And so I did that. I ended up moving. I was an assistant at Xavier University for 3 years, and of Louisiana for 3 years, and I had moved back home,
Mm-hmm.
and I took a junior college job at West LA College.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm.
now I go backwards again.
Right, right.
But one of the things that always felt like sometimes you got to go backward to take some steps forward, you
Mm-hmm.
know.
Mm-hmm.
So I
Mm-hmm.
come back home to West LA and I'm coaching there. I'm making a $12,000 stipend.
Yeah, baby, we talked
I'm
about
new.
it. Yeah,
I'm
yeah,
newly
yeah.
married. I have a newborn baby.
Mm.
I'm making $12,000 stipend. This is, and I'll keep it real with people. This is in 2009, 2010 season. I'm making a $12,000 stipend. I'm substitute teaching, trying to pull another 15 in. And I got the gym at West LA and I'm doing trainings. I'm doing working people out $35 a session. You know what I'm saying?
So you was Jamaican and you was there. I got to figure out how to make this dough.
I was doing whatever I had to do at that time, man.
I feel
and
you, man.
um, and then so I was there for 3 years and kind of going, I don't know, I'm gonna let you go ahead as far as the question, but this is where the major transition in my life started to happen. Um, as far as what I'm currently doing now.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Um, so I am I'm coaching, but I'm also interviewing at these Division 1 schools too, right?
Right,
I
right,
was
right,
kind
right,
of
right,
like
right.
one of the next guys up if you
Mm-hmm.
kind of look back, I was probably one of the first LA guys from our class that got on to the college level coaching,
Mm-hmm.
right? You know, some guys that came, Tony started doing it, Reggie Morris started coaching, Jason Hart, those guys. But I was probably like one of the first LA guys that got a college coaching job full
Right,
time.
right, right, right,
And
right,
so
right.
after I did that, I'm interviewing at all these schools. I interviewed at UC Riverside. I interviewed at UC Santa Barbara, uh, Northern Arizona, Tennessee Tech. I'm in the mix at UTEP. I'm in the mix at a lot of these schools. Like I'm getting these interviews. I'm right there.
Mm-hmm.
And so, man, I kind of like had this, I started questioning, like, okay, what is this about? Right? Like, I'm trying to get on, right? I'm a hard worker. I'm recruiting well. I gotta, right now, at this time, I got my bachelor's degree. I'm working on my master's degree. But I started to realize somebody has to give you a chance. Somebody has to believe in you. Somebody has to give you a nod for you to get on at that level. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
It's not, it's about who you know. It's not about
Mm-hmm.
necessarily how good you are. Because I mean, what more can you ask for? To me, that's my mind thinking, right? What more can you have an assistant, a black guy educated from the inner city, knows all the AAU guys, know all of his friends are now the head high school coaches now. He knows everybody. You know, I can articulate, I can do all these different things, but it's just not clicking, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I'm still grinding at the JUCO level. Then Tommy Davis, Tank Tommy Davis, who was the start point guard for you at Crenshaw, he wanted to get on coaching staff. So he was on. I got him on the coaching staff with us, and one day we on the bus and we're headed to a game. And Tank is a hustler, you know, Tank a street dude, you know, a hustler. And he says, man, man, refer me some people to get their taxes done. I'm like, okay, cool. Not thinking nothing of it, just kind of like looking out for the homie or whatever. And I refer him some people, and I end up making like $5,000. So for a guy who's trying to barely pull 30,000 together to make 5,000 at one time, that was a bump. You know what I'm saying? I'm feeling good about myself,
Nah,
you
for
know?
sure, for sure.
And so I started thinking, I'm like, dang, taxes, like, because I didn't know nothing about no taxes and nothing like that. The guy where I used to get my own taxes done, I um I would just drop my stuff off and come back in a couple of weeks. He's like, hey man, come get your stuff. Your stuff is ready. God and my dad knew. And so I started asking a lot of questions to Tank. You know, like, man, where did you who did this? And he's telling me his buddy owned this tax office. And I when he told me the name of it, where it was, I did my own research. I drove, I got on my car, I stood, I saw how busy it was. I started asking a lot of questions about people. They was like, oh yeah, this guy's a millionaire. I'm like, what? They was like, yeah, he's very successful, got a house in the Pacific Palisades, Bentleys, Rolls Royces. I'm like, what? Okay. I'm like, oh wow. So the day like it kind of really started to change for me. When I'm in a time when I had hair, I was getting my hair cut in Carson, and this older guy who always would come in the barbershop, man, he always popping it, really popping it. You know, oh, y'all ain't you niggas ain't getting no money. You know what I'm saying? So he always would come in with like a young bad woman. So I watched this dude do this for like a couple of weeks, right? So I said, so he leaves out the shop. I let him get up. I go out after him. I catch him in the parking lot. I said, man, like, what's up, man? Who are you? Like, what you do for a living?
Right.
And he says, man, I'm in the tax industry. I said, you in the tax business? I said, is that right? I said, man, it's crazy. Like, you know, I was helping my boy out with some stuff and I made a little bit of money. You know what I'm saying? I said, how did you get in the tax business? He said, man, to be honest with you, I used to sell dope and I went to prison and I learned the tax business in prison. You know, and I said, is that right?
Mm.
He said, yeah. And he said, what caught me was, he said, I said, well, what made you get in it? He said, well, I was used to making big money
Right.
in a short period of time.
Mm.
So I like really, I was like, you know, sometimes I kind of like zoned out, like when he said that, like it was, if it was just me, because I was thinking, I said, you make dope money in the tax?
In the tax game?
Yeah, and he said, I make NBA money sitting on the bench type money. I said, okay, back then, what was the, oh, for real? And he said, yeah, he said, I make NBA money sitting on the bench, right? And so he said, look, man, refer all your people over to me next year. And I said, okay, cool. So in that time, I'm asking people about him. They're like, yeah, man, this dude been a millionaire like multiple times over in his life. I'm like, that right? He's like, yeah, they're like, he the truth. So that next year, I started referring all my clients, all my friends, family, everything over to his office. So that next year, it went from 5,000 to 15,000 in just
Mm.
referrals.
Right.
So now this is when, like, mind you, at this time, I'm still trying to get on Division 1,
Right.
right?
Right.
I'm doing all these interviews, and I think what kind of closed the two things for me that closed the door on coaching, because I took the head job and I was the head coach at Hawthorne High School, and I had a good year. They hadn't won games, and we ended up winning a few tournaments, and I had got us to like 500 in my first year, and I'm still interviewing. So what happened was now, and it's got to stay with me because all these things, all these signs are happening at one time, right? I'm
Right.
coaching high school. I'm doing tax referrals.
Mm-hmm.
I'm still interviewing and at these schools trying to get on Division 1. I'm coaching AAU, and I got a lot going on. So I get a call one night from one of my guys, Tyrone Lofton, and he's like, "Hey, he like, man, would you go to UTEP?" I'm like, "Hell yeah, I go to UTEP." He was like, "Man, stay by your phone. Tim Floyd about to call you."
Right.
I'm like, all right, literally, Tim Floyd, man, it's like 10:30 at night, right?
Right.
Tim, I never met Tim Floyd a day in my life, bro.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? He calls me. He like, David. He said, I heard a
Right.
lot of good things about you.
Right.
Come meet me at the Marriott LAX right now. Man, I flew. I'm living in the valley at the time. I probably got to the airport in 20 minutes, bro. I'm sitting up. I get there about 11 o'clock. I'm sitting in the bar with him till about 1 in the morning. He's just picking my brain on all different kind of things. He's asking me questions like, hey, like what? Because at this time, I'm kind of like, man, I ain't really about to be kissing no ass to get no job. I know I'm coming into my identity of who I am as a coach. You
Right.
know what I'm saying? What my belief system is, from my plan, from working for different guys. At this time, I didn't work for two different guys at the college level, junior college. I mean, I know the junior college game. I got relationships there. I got the high school relationships. I'm like, I'm gonna go in here and just be me. So he's asking me, I'm like, Coach, I'm not gonna be sitting in the office just to be sitting in the office watching you leave to think that I'm doing my job. I'm going to be in the office to do my job and get all my work done. So, coach, after I take my child to school, that's when I'm going to be in the office. So if that's 8:30, 9 o'clock, or if it calls for me to be in there earlier, if it calls me, that's what I'm going to do. But I'm going to try to be, and I'm telling them at this time, I'm going to look to be well balanced, if I go into any kind of opportunity.
Yep.
He asked me this question. He said, well, David, I don't really need no help coaching. I said, no, you don't, coach. You don't. You tell Floyd. And I said, you pretty much got figured out how you gonna do your program, how you gonna do it. I'm there to assist. And he was
Mm-hmm.
like, okay. So he said, man, I really like you, right? So when he said, man, this went well, I like this. So he ends up calling me back the next morning. He said, David, I want to offer you this job. He said, but I offered it to somebody before I got a chance to sit down with you. He
Mm-hmm.
said, I don't think he's going to take it because it was for the operations job, right? He said, I
Right. Right.
don't think he's going to take it because I mean he's an experienced guy. He didn't tell me who it was or whatever. So I'm like,
Right.
okay.
Right. Right.
He literally calling me like every other day, like, man, it's looking good. It's looking good. I mean, I think I'm gonna get you. He finally calls me and he said, David, man, the guy ended up taking this job. And I was like, well, he was like, man, Bobby Baswell, who's a
Oh,
20-year head Division I coach. I'm not gonna get a job over a guy like that. You know what
of
I'm
course
saying?
not.
He took a $60,000 job um, as an entry level position. You know what I'm saying? Just to stay connected, stay in the game. So I wasn't gonna get that job. And I think my final straw was I was end up a finalist for UC Riverside assistant spot,
Mm-hmm.
and they end up going with a guy who's an alma mater. And I can respect that, he went to school there and all that. But literally, like so I kind of give you a heads up on when I went on my interview, right? So I interviewed with the assistant coach, and with the head coach. They set me in the office with the assistant coaches, right? And they had all these names on the board, so they wanted me to kind of give my evaluations, right?
Okay.
And not only am I breaking all these kids down from an evaluation from a basketball skill standpoint, I'm also going from if they could survive here academically at a UC school, right?
Right.
Meaning like, okay, this is, you know, from my experience, I know this kind of school and this type of area, the focus would be on education.
Mm-hmm.
Here now, I don't think the focus would necessarily be too much on here. This guy probably gonna need a little bit more support. So they were like, well, okay. So they were impressed.
Right.
Literally, the guy called me. He said, man, David, you did great, but man, I decided to go with the guy who went to school here.
Yeah. Yeah.
Had a lot
Yeah.
of pressure from alumni and everybody to hire him. He's not my guy, but he's a UC Riverside guy. I was like, okay, cool, coach. The next day, he calls me asking me about recruiting. What you think about this kid over here, this kid over there? And I'm like, huh? You just hired a dude for that. You know
Right?
what
You
I'm
just got
saying?
somebody for that. What you need me for?
Yeah. So I realized, man, that this game, the game of life, people are looking out for themselves.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm
Mm-hmm.
saying? And if you're not one of their guys, they're not looking out for you.
Yep. Yep.
And so
Yep.
now, as I'm starting to see, as I'm starting to get a bad taste in my mouth towards the coaching thing, and also I'm still coaching the high school, so now I got to deal with parents and all this kind of stuff. And I'm like, oh, what the hell is this? Mom said she need to talk to me. You know what I'm saying? Daddy
Right.
want to have a meeting with me about it. I'm like, oh no. I didn't know nothing about that because when I play high school basketball, your parents bet not come and try to talk to a coach about anything. You know what I'm saying?
Right. 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 Right.
You
Right.
wasn't
Right.
talking to Pat Roy about nothing. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? And
Agreed.
so I was like, oh, I don't like this. And so now that next year goes to 15,000 doing the referrals of the tax business, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Now, mind you, the window is closing on this coaches thing, but I still got like a little bug. So I'm still going to the Final Fours. I'm still talking to guys and all that. I end up going. I end up going for Memorial Day weekend that weekend. I end up going to party in Vegas, and we
Okay.
had this pool party. And me and my partner, which is one of my former players, because I was a young assistant, we see this big old commotion going on. These guys are throwing this money in the air. It looked like BMF or something like that,
Right,
right?
right, 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 right.
And he told me, he said, man, them dudes right there, man, them dudes from Detroit, man, they own tax offices, man. He's like, they get money. I was like, that right? So I went through that next year, that 15, I still doing referrals with that guy. It
Yep,
goes
yep.
25,000, right? My referral business goes to 25,000. So now I ain't really got to stress about getting up trying to go and make a dollar, right? I can go substitute teach when I want to. I can do my workouts when I want to. Now I'm kind of pulling in independently by myself about 50,000. You know what I'm saying? With not having to clock in nowhere. And so when I seen that, I'm like, oh man, it's something to this business. So I
Mm,
start putting the press on information. Information. I start seeking out like, how did you get into this industry? Um, what was the challenges? What was the startup cost? How did you do it? And I was going to the old head office every day, and I noticed that he never did taxes, but he had the staff in there that was doing everything. He would just bring the business in. And what
okay.
he really specialized in was customer service. So for example, people come in after work, they want to get their taxes done. He got a caterer for you, right? Mama, you don't got to go home and cook dinner. He got caterers for you. He get cater meal for you and your kids and whole family. Fellas, y'all had a long day. Go out back. You can go get a drink. You want to go gamble? Go out back. You can go gamble. And his office would be packed. And so I started picking his brain, and he started letting me know what type of money he was making.
Right.
And he showed me where H&R Block tried to buy his office for 1.3 million. And he was like, man, he was like, man, I'm doing, he said, I can't sell it for 1.3. He said, minimum, I'm doing 700,000 a year. And I was like,
Mm,
oh. So I said, man, what's the worst that you gonna do? He said, man, all fail, all bad, I'm gonna make $250,000 in this business every year. And
man.
when he says every year, he's not talking about 12 months. He's talking about 4 months out the year.
Hmm.
So I
Hmm.
said, or at worst, in 4 months, you're gonna do 250,000. So I said, oh no, say no more. Say no more. So I end up, well, I was telling one of my OGs, Compton dude, he like, man, I got this girl, man. She like me, she in the tech business, she make bank. So he's like, I'm
Hmm.
gonna hook you up to go meet her. So I went to go meet her, and I went to her house in Compton. Like I said, man, I couldn't believe that it was a house this nice in Compton. Gated community. And she had showed me where it only had been a month within tax season. She already had made 120,000.
That's
And I
crazy.
was like, yeah, that's crazy, man. And you know, in our minds, right? Being from the inner city, we only know it was rappers wasn't even making it like that back
No.
then. You either
Right,
sold
right.
dope or you played ball.
Yep.
Those are the only type of people that we know that are making that type of money. We don't know nobody who have their own businesses. We don't know no doctors. We don't know no attorneys. Most of our people, you know, are blue collar people, 9 to 5, trying to get by. You know what I'm
True.
saying? So now my mind is opening up to this entrepreneurship, and people are making big money. Remember, I told you I'm in the real estate office. Now I'm around the tax business, and I'm seeing these people make big money. They living like pro athletes are living. And I'm like, oh, okay, this is what I want. This is what I want. And so I end up opening up my first tax office, man, not knowing how to do taxes, not knowing what I was doing. Me and
Right.
my partner opened up our first office in Lafayette, Louisiana.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Now,
Yeah.
I got you. And just to let y'all know, folks, 25 stores later, he's doing big things. You know what I'm saying? I'm
Yeah.
proud of him, you know, and like I
Yeah.
said, if you are watching YouTube, you will see his his big old nice California house with his chandelier in the back, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
He doing his thing, you know.
Yeah.
So I got, a question for you, and then we're gonna get out of here.
Okay.
All right. based off your experience, what would be your advice for the next you, for the next David? You know what I'm saying? So what would be your advice? Obviously, everything that you went through from starting at Jim Gilliam, some Jim Gilliam, Jesse Owens Park to playing, staying with AAU to Inglewood to college, to where you're at now, to coaching to this, where you're doing now. What would be your best advice for the next generation of you?
Man, honestly, you know, and I've gotten criticized for this before, but honestly, what I would tell the next generation or the next me is you're more than a basketball player. Um, I think when you're in your adolescence, try to figure out something else that you're good at. Whether that's another sport, right? It could be another sport. I wish I would have played other sports, right? When I kind of look back, I wish I would have done, is I'm working with my daughter, and my daughter's a big time track athlete. I wish I would have probably done something like that,
Right.
or an art, you know what I'm saying? Or something in tech. I would say you're more than just a ball player. You have other talents within you, right? And when the ball stopped bouncing for me, I had to dive into myself to figure out what my skills were. What was I good at? And overall, yes, I am in the tax business. I have other businesses, but what thing that I know that I'm good at is I'm good with people, and I'm a
Mm-hmm.
good communicator, and I'm honest, and I can get people to trust me,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
So I can recruit. I can get you to see if I'm selling something or my vision. I can break it down for people to get it to understand my perspective, what it is that I'm doing, how it can benefit them, and if they need it or not. That I can say that's one of my skills, that I do have is the art of communication. And
Mm-hmm.
so I always tell guys that you're more than a basketball player. Um, like when you look at a guy like LeBron James, he's the greatest basketball player, but he
Mm-hmm.
showed early on that he's more than just a basketball player, right?
Agreed.
So you can do
Agreed.
multiple things.
Mm-hmm.
When you're in school, when you're in college, don't be the cool basketball player guy all the time, right? And we do that, right? We got our own clique. You know what I'm saying? It's just us over here. Though all those students, those are going to be your future business partners. Those are going to be your future collaborators. Those are going to be the people who have the information. Those are going to be the people that can get you jobs or resources.
Mm-hmm.
So if there are any other clubs on campus or fraternities, clubs, business business clubs, those are going to be your next your network. That's going to be your network. I mean, kind of referring back to the tax business, when I kind of like went to the next level, what I didn't even know was I opened up, after we opened up in Lafayette, Louisiana, we opened up in Inglewood, we opened up in Detroit. I'm from Inglewood, my partner from Detroit. Our next location was in New Orleans. And the guy that we ended up partnering with, he was like, man, I watched all your games in college. I had no idea. But
Right.
imagine if this dude, he saw me and he thought I was arrogant. He thought I was an asshole. He probably been all like, man, I remember him back in the day. He used to be this,
Yeah, yeah, that's true.
And
That's true.
we went on, and that dude's a millionaire now. You know what I'm saying? He didn't know the industry like I knew it at the time, and he was able to come with us, and I was able to teach him the industry. He's a millionaire. So I
Right.
would say that you're more than a ball player. You have other talents. You just have to discover what that is, and you
Mm-hmm.
have to try things, and don't be afraid to fail. And take that
Mm-hmm.
same work ethic that you did in making yourself a better ball player, take that into business, take that into your relationships, um, take that into developing your passions,
Yep.
because you're going
Yep.
to continue. You may think ball, trust me, fellas, young fellas, we thought the ball, I know you nice. I know you go left, you go right, you can shoot it, you got all that, but it's gonna be a point where this ball is gonna stop bouncing. And you have to think about what it is that you're gonna do before it stop bouncing, because it's gonna hit you hard if you don't
Yep.
have a plan after that.
I agree 100%.
Yeah.
100%. You know what I'm saying?
And with me, I just tried a lot of things along that journey. And then while I was still chasing it, right? I was still involved in the game. I found something that I ran with.
Yep. Yep. No. And I think that's a good thing, man. Like you're a success story, David, man. So I definitely wanted to get you on the show and let people know there's a different route, you know what I'm saying? So, you did pretty much everything you wanted to do in a way for ball, and it led you to, what I'm saying, where you're at now, which is very successful, man.
Appreciate that, man.
Appreciate it. Please let the people know where they can find you if they need their help, with taxes, real estate, all that
Yeah,
stuff.
like we always give it opportunities for people who want to be entrepreneurs in the tax business. Our company is called Get Max Tax. You can catch us on socials at Get Max Tax, GETMAX Tax. I am Coach D GMT on Instagram. If you can look, if you look us up, if you put Get Max Tax in, you're gonna see a bunch of different locations come up across the country.
Hmm.
Also, here in our Inglewood office, we have an office in Inglewood. If you need your client and you need help with your taxes, anything like that, we do that there. But our main thing from the day to day is helping people find something, that they can do.
Hmm.
We have a lot of, man, we have a wide variety of people who are owners or entrepreneurship. We have doctors, we have pharmacists, we have people who are nurses. They say, you know what, I'm tired of this grind. I want something else that I can have more independency in, and I can
Hmm.
be with my family. Where there's not too many businesses for us in our community where we come from that are legal that we can make 6, 7 figures in 4 to 5 months. So we
Right.
put people in a position to do that as well.
No, no, definitely. That's definitely something to look at, everybody. Please, I will, he'll send me the links and I'll post them in the show, background. So yeah, you definitely, look him up. And like I said, I'll put his link to his Instagram on background as well. So that way you can find him, you can message him, DM him, whatever the case is, if this is something that you're looking for. But I want to say thank y'all for listening once again. You can follow me at Travis W. Reed. That's Travis W. REED. Travis W. REED on Instagram and Facebook. I post all my social media on both those sites. Also, I am on LinkedIn as well. Travis Reed. Like I said, got my book club. You want to join it and all that stuff too. Plus, I know today I'm wearing championship merch, but I still got that Travis Reed merch. Like I said, DM or message me, and I'll send you a shirt personally. So got that too. Got some new merch coming in too. So like I said, just be on the lookout for that as well. All right, y'all. Thank y'all for talking. Thank you. Appreciate you, D.
Okay.
Talk to y'all later. Peace.
All right.